All right. Good morning. Good morning. We are here. This is FYI Morning Show Live. I'm your host, Yolanda Hinton, along with co-host Edward Everett, aka Mr. E. Mr. E, good morning.
Had a pleasure. Good morning to you, and thank you so much for tuning in. FYI, Hump Day Wednesday. The temperature on the outside is very, very warm outside. 57 degrees here in the 757. Here in Norfolk, 54, 55 degrees. But it's a beautiful, beautiful Wednesday.
Did you say in the 50s in Hampton Roads this week?
In the Hampton Roads, the temperature is about 54 degrees. Yesterday, it got up to 60.
I tell you what, thank God for the 60s, thank God for the 50s. I'm loving it. I am definitely loving it.
That sounds
Yes,
wonderful.
I'm loving it because we have been in the cold. I know this is Virginia and we have pretty good mild weather. I understand all that, but we can get a little cold sometimes.
That's right.
It
That's
is
right.
really wonderful to be able to get out of the low 20s and the wind chill in the teens and things like that to get into the 50s where you could actually, get a break from the, cold air and the snow.
That's right.
I'm I'm really excited about it. But anyway, we want to welcome our viewers, our listeners. We have Facebook Live, Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. Good morning, everybody. It's good to be here, up and popping. I did step out a little while ago, and the weather's nice, a little misty, but nevertheless, it is a beautiful, beautiful day. So glad you all have come on with us to share with us. Make sure you like, share, comment, and subscribe to all our channels. Especially those on TikTok. This is a new platform. Please go to Y Hinton. That's Yhinton, the letter Yhinton. Right now, make sure you subscribe or follow the channel. We will follow you back. And those that are on YouTube, make sure you subscribe there at Cristo Records One, Cristo Records One. And you can also go to at FYI Radio Show host Yolanda Hinton on YouTube, all our channels, Facebook Live. We got plenty of platforms there. I have my personal page. Mr. E has his personal page, Edward Everett. We got Yolanda Hinton's fan club. We have IFYI. We have FYI Radio Show. We've got so many platforms there, along with LinkedIn, YouTube, and Twitter. Please make sure you all go and follow us, subscribe, and we will follow you back. And also, we'll shout you out when we see your name. So, Mr. E, this is Hump Day Wednesday.
Right. This is Hump Day Wednesday, and what a beautiful day it is. And it's a segment dealing with the men. Go ahead.
All right, this is FYI Wednesday segment. What's under the hat issues concerning our men, and what's under the hat today? We're going to highlight Black History Month, and our topic is about the slave trade. They call it the transatlantic slave trade. Now, we going back in our history. Sometimes you got to take a deep breath, everybody, because we know where we have come from, and we know that some of the things that we have experienced, our ancestors have experienced, weren't so sweet. It wasn't so nice. We can really talk about the accomplishment, the inventions, all the things that we have done, fought for, and things like that. But there was in our history a very devastating period of time wherein they called it the transatlantic slave trade. It is, Mr. E, it's just sometimes hard to think about it, but what happened, how it started, it was a practice spanning various cultures and times. Most notable refers to the transatlantic slave trade, like I said, which forcibly transported and estimated 12.5 million Africans to the Americas between the 16th and 19th century.
That's right. That's right. They transported over 12.5 million Africans from Africa to Europe, and this is something to behold. That the transatlantic slave trade, also known as Middle Passage, and there's a second leg of triangular trade. You know, Vicente, when we look at this slave trade referred to as capture chain, capturing and transporting and purchasing and selling human beings as property.
Oh,
As property, and to use them for forced labor, not for just labor to get paid, but to use them for forced labor.
this was so cruel. That's the thing about it. Force, meaning I don't have a choice. I
That's
don't
right.
have a choice of what you do to me. I don't have a choice where I live. I don't have a choice of what I name my children. I don't have a choice of anything. I am owned by you. Now, Mr. E, sometimes when I look back, at one time, especially when I was in school, high school, middle school, I would think only about it in one way. I would think about it as why did why were we here? Why were we captured? And who brought us over here? But I always left out the element of those that actually were there, Africans, who actually partnered with the Europeans to bring people into these across the water into these other countries, into the Americas. And so I was like, now, wait a minute now. This is a partnership.
That's
Uh,
right.
People were getting paid big money
That's right.
to bring to enslave their people, their people. And and what happened in one aspect, and I was looking at a documentary, was talking about those, those people that fought against other tribes and things like that. When they captured those people that from other tribes and stuff, a lot of them were sold out. But then there are others, Mr. E, that sold their children, sold their mama, their grandmama. They didn't care. They sold for what? That filthy lucre, and they had willing workers. Sometimes I sit back, Mr. E, and I say, this was a terrible scheme. Somebody said and had an idea in their mind, said, you know what? Let's find some folk to do a number on, because that's exactly what they did. They did a number on folk. It wasn't like a pleasant thing, and it wasn't even a pleasant trip. Mr. E, from day one, the minute they captured those Africans, they treated them less than human.
Miss Simpson, when I begin to think about this trading and this capturing of folks, I begin to think about how the European folks went over to Africa to get ivory from the elephants and get giraffes to bring them back over to the United States and to get all kinds of animals, first of all. But then it blew my mind because I began to look at how they transported elephants and giraffes and all the wildlife over there and take the tusks from the elephant and make money off them. But
Yes.
then I turned around and I looked at it and say, here are some Europeans or some Africans over there that found a way to get rich by trading their co-laborer, their family members, by
Yes.
trading Africans to the European countries. In my study, I found out there was a part that called chattel slavery,
Yes.
unlike form of enduro servitude. The slave trade treated people as property that could be owned,
Yes.
sold, inherited, or traded. That's the chattel slavery, that they have treated folk like property.
Absolutely.
They captured the people, they transport the people, they purchase the people, and the selling of human beings is just like another form of trafficking.
Yeah.
We look at it in another way as not as sex trafficking, which we see today, but this is slaves. This is African American folk, real people, black people that has been put on the market to be traded. And they're
Absolutely.
forcing them migration, forced migration. Millions were forcible removed from their home. They was forced to be removed from their African home, not being elected, not asking, do you want to go? They was forcing these folk, burning them up, burn them out of their homes, and forcing these folks to do this kind of core.
Absolutely. So it was the Middle Passage. It calls the second leg of the triangular trade. It was the largest forced migration in history, and it spanned across European countries, Portugal, Spain. They began colonizing the Americas. It wasn't just America. It was these other European places, and they just began to slave Africans. We came over here, and later on we became African American down the line, but we were Africans first, and then they took us to Europe and different things on ships. Oh my God,
You know,
ships!
you
Uh,
know,
and they took us as though we were goods because that was one of the things that brought this on, to be able to enslave Africans, to exchange them for goods, and they packed them in the ships, and they brought other goods, like you said, other textiles and firearms and iron and liquor, and all kind of things was traded backwards and forwards, and things with this the trade, this trade, slave trade.
they had three different phases that they did this in. The history of slaves was brought into three different phases. The first leg of it was European ships carrying manufactures like guns, clothes, alcohol, irons to the African coast. Then the second phase was the Middle Passage. African American, enslaved American was loaded on one ship.
Yeah, Africans, yes.
Yeah, was loaded on one ship, and that there was notable abuse, with 15 to 20% dying due to filth and disease and starvation.
That's amazing how you treat your so-called property or product like that. Who would order product and then allow them to lay in their own feces, to throw up on one another, to be sick, and you're beating them, and you are SA them. You are just taking your product. Just imagine you have a business, and you tell the people that are bringing your uh, goods in, just do whatever you want to do it. Just
Evidently,
what else? And I'm saying, if you have such a great plan, why in the world would you treat your property like that? For one thing, motive. It wasn't just a business. It was just something that brought ushered in a very ungodly system that would not only take them from their homes, but while they travel on those ships, then after they came from the ships to where they were, it was that plan to continue to destroy and hurt and harm people, and destroy their character, their mind, by any means necessary. It wasn't just business. It was to destroy people's who they were, so they could feel or be like the people that brought them over here would feel. Oh, I feel that you're nothing. I feel like you, are less than an animal. And so I want you to think like that too. I'm going to put it in you. And so this was a terrible scheme now. This
That's
was a
right.
perfect scheme. And then again, like you said, coming over, so many of them died because they were treated less than animals and they were forced to do certain things and sleep a certain way and, hardly eat. It was just horrific.
I'm in agreement with you because whoever had the scheme, they said the major players of this time frame was in the 15 or the 1860s that Portuguese initialed the trade in the mid 15th century,
Mhm.
buying and captured along the West African coast sugar platform plantations and Atlantic islands before expanding to Brazil. When I look at this, I saw that they was really not into the commodity. They didn't really appreciate the value of the commodity, as if to say they come a dime a dozen.
Mhm.
They was really not really looking at what was going on. All they wanted to do is get them loaded on a ship. But it behooves me because some of the Africans was right there with them
Yep, that's right.
planning this trip. Some of the Africans that found a way to make riches, found a way to make money on their own people. And that happens today. When we look around at what's going on, that we got sex trafficking, people gathering up people, young men, young women, and selling them, it's another form of a trade, a slave trade, because that they're taking them and selling them and trading them for commodity. You know,
Yeah,
and then you got to look at this. These folks, these Portuguese, did not really value their commodity
not yet.
because because some of them was filthy, some of them was had starved, and some of them had diseases. How in the world can you take somebody that's dirty, nasty, starving, malnutrition, and put them on the market? How can
Absolutely.
you take a commodity and when they got diseases and sell it for top dollar? Why would you go stoop that low and do that to make to people? I mean to people. It's just like when we're dealing with trafficking. Some of them folks don't even go to doctors. Some of them folks are in there blindfolded. Some of them are dirty. Some of them nasty. But it shows the mindset of people.
Hmm. Yeah. One of the main things is to break a person, their spirit. Now, if you are in Africa and you are living, this is your country, you have a certain amount of pride, you have your names, you have your rituals and ceremonies, you live a certain way. I don't care if you live in the village or in the high places, your sense of who you are is given to you. And a lot of times given to you even before you're born. They instill life into the mother that's carrying the child and things like that. I know it wasn't all good because of course, like I said, there were like wars and different things among different tribes and stuff. But still, as a people, they had a sense of who they were. All right, in order to enslave someone, you've got to break them down.
That's right.
You got
And
to break them down. And the thing about it, they bought, but from the minute they enslaved them in their country and brought them, they were breaking them down. They were breaking down their spirits. They were showing them hopelessness, and they were making sure when they hit that ground in America and all these other destinations that they had a sense of fear, and they were hopeless, and they were depressed and confused. Can you imagine coming from living at home, being nurtured by your parents and your siblings, and now you're here tied up like a hog and whipped and essayed and all kind of things going on? What in the world is that going to do to your spirit and your mind?
You know, when
So
I begin,
it was a terrible scheme, Mr. E. It wasn't just, it was to break down the spirit of the person so they could act, think like a slave, and they would not recognize anything in the past of being anything that could be elevated. They wanted them to be hopeless so they could be used and abused.
they said the overwhelming of the slave trade was the majority at the destination. When they got it from Africa and they brought it to Brazil, they said the overwhelming majority of the slaves, enslaved Africans, were sent to Brazil. About 40% of them were sent to Brazil, and the Caribbean, about 48% were sent to the Caribbean. Only about 3.5% was transported to British North America and the United States. They had a route where they divided who was going to purchase them the most. And then they said the abolitionist movement, driven by the humanity and religious pressure, gained monument in the late 18th century. Denmark and the rest of all of them that was with them, that gained notoriety by selling slaves. I mean,
Absolutely.
one of the hardest things in the world is to sell people. It really is one of the disgusting things to me, to find out that these folks are your own kind, your own neighbors, your own friends, in your own community. They got a racket going on right underneath your nose and you don't even know it.
Absolutely.
They still doing the same thing in this day and time. They still selling folk. They still trading folk for humanistic gains. They still, uh, you know, doing what they did then in the 18th century till the 2025.
Absolutely.
Nothing had 26. Nothing has really changed in since those times and now.
Well, it says more than 10 million were forcibly imported between 1600s and 1800. And again, the Americas, Caribbean, and South America, they all got a piece of it. But you know, as we begin to continue to study, there was a breakthrough, and it was the abolitionist movement. Thank God for that. Uh, and that abolition movement, it was driven by humanitarian and religious pressures. It gained momentum in the late 18th century. Denmark was the first country to ban the trade in 1792, effective 1803. Great Britain outlawed the slave trade in 1807 and abolished slavery throughout its empire in 1833. The U.S., thank God for that, they finally outlawed slavery in 1808. Brazil, of course, and Western Hemisphere, they did so as well. It says the last known transatlantic slave voyage occurred in 1867 to Cuba, modern slavery and resources, and eventually those things were uh, abolished.
But here in
People
Virginia,
Justice Initiative, you had the United Nations commemorate the International Day of Remembrance of Victims of Slavery. And it was done away because there were people that knew it was wrong, and they finally got a chance to get to do away with the slave trade.
but here in Virginia, they got a little thing and that with the selling of the ships, sales where they sail ships around in Virginia, here in Norfolk. And to me, I think it's very distasteful. And folks, for them to bring that historical impact out, where they're showing the ships that brought African Americans from
African, yes.
Africa from Denmark, from Brazil, from Portuguese, from all these other foreign countries, and to Virginia, and they celebrate these ships doing that. That now, I think that that's one of the uncommonly uncut things that they could ever do to bring back that memory for who? For the people to celebrate. I can
Yes,
see if they brought back the freedom of people being free, but now they celebrate. They don't even celebrate people being free.
absolutely. Well, I tell you what, a lot of people sometimes compare, not a lot of people, but people do try to compare the slave trade with what's going on. And, trafficking and things is a big thing here in the Hampton Roads area, forcing people to live, to carry out certain crimes and things like that. It says, slavery, of course, was primarily through its legal status. Let's talk about it right now. This thing was legal to take and enslave folk to, visibly and economically prosper from slavery. It was written down in the law where you could do this. You could have slaves and things, and that's the difference, Mr. E. The slave trade was a legal thing, and it says that past slavery was protected by the law and institutionalized. But trafficking is a criminal act, and it's worldwide, and it's forcing people in the shadows to do certain things. So it is a different thing, but we still see the effect of like slavery. We still see people victimized and abused like slavery, and giving people no choice like slavery. We still see that. And so there's a fight to expose and to remedy. We got a lot of advocates, we've had them on the show, to get rid of this problem of trafficking. We're talking about it now with the Epstein files of the trafficking of little kids and teenagers. It's a terrible animal and a disease that's throughout our country that, I'm not sure how we're going to do it. I think we're going to just have to continue like the slave trade of fighting against it to abolish this nonsense that is happening all over the world with taking people and just using people for filthy lucre and for gain. It's just a terrible thing, and we got to continue to advocate and continue to work at making sure our children and our people, our families are safe.
Well, Miss Hinton, and that's this is African American Week. I'm lost for words because one, I don't like it. I don't like African. I don't like the what happened back in the days of old, and how folks celebrate what happened in the days of old as to torment African Americans. It takes me to a point where the rights of people is no longer there. You don't have no rights to do this. You don't have no rights to do that. It appalls me because they take away the rights of women. Well, I gotta go. I call you. I text you. I'll be right back.
All right, then. But anyway, yeah, this is February. This is Black History Month. And we're talking about the slave trade, a terrible, terrible thing that took place in our history. And, it's a good thing there are people that felt like, look, this is wrong. Took them a long time to realize it, because how is it that you just destroy people lives? You steal them, you victimize them, you abuse them, and people are sitting back and they're looking. It's just like what we're dealing with now, where people are sitting back and looking and saying, I know it happened, but I'm going to protect those that was doing it because we don't we don't want people to think any way of us or that person or this group of people. We're dealing with that now, covering up and pretending that this stuff didn't happen. That you didn't destroy the lives of teenagers or children. That's the thing. So many people turned their head and accepted what was happening with the slave trade. So many people, and that's the problem with trafficking. We could remedy some things, but people don't want to get involved. They don't want to sit back, especially when you got the rich and the famous involved in something. People cover up. They cover up. They say, "Oh, don't let them see what we are. Don't let them see what we have done. We have done so much harm." They were glad when they were doing it, but now that somebody's trying to expose it, it's like, don't let them know it was this one and that one and the other one. Just make like it didn't even happen. And we're finding that out as we continue to, fight for our rights. There are some people that's trying to take our history away from us. Oh, that didn't happen. Why nobody would do that? Oh, yes, they did. Yes, they did. They did that. And it caused such harm to a people. So the wonderful thing about it is in February, and every February, we celebrate who we are. We celebrate that history. We've got to celebrate. You know why we celebrate it? Because we have come so far. And not only have we come so far, we now can tell the story to our children. We can tell the story to our children's children. We can tell the story among one another. And we can teach others, other races, about who we are and what we've gone through. What we've gone through. We're not hiding it. You may want us to hide it, but we're not going to hide it. We're not going to sit back and say, oh, well, maybe it was a fairy tale. I don't think so. And so for that reason, we on February is a teachable moment for African American people. And I'm sure all those other cultures and races that went through it in those other places in the Caribbean and other places like that. I'm trying to tell you, we're going to tell it. We're going to keep telling it. We're going to keep celebrating ourselves because we have come a mighty long way. Folk have fought and died for us to live the way we're living now. We're living now. We have better privileges. We can live wherever we want. We can marry whoever we want and love whoever we want. We can get educated. We can, do the things that in the past our ancestors had to die to even breathe, to stay alive. And so we celebrate and we're happy that we can come to you all with this information. Yeah, it's a real thing. Yes, it was a slave trade. Yes, it was a partnership between those in Africa and the Europeans enslaving folk, bringing them over and treating them like a dog. And to this day, we got to continue to fight so we can have the right to a better life in our children, our children's children, because that mentality of that you are still less than is still on the planet.
Miss Hinton, the more I think about it, that so many folks are still holding that mindset, thinking that that mindset is what it's supposed to be.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it's still that mindset. That's the thing. We still got to fight all you racists and stuff like that. We still got to fight that mindset that you will not get rid of. You're still thinking that we're less than, and this is something that tries to keep us from living our best of life. Because we got somebody saying, well, look, we want to keep you from the best jobs. We still want to keep you from acknowledging that you are human. We still want to break your spirit. We still want your children with less education. We still got to fight that ungodly spirit that's still on the earth. And so, for that reason, we will never give up the fight. We can't. You're not going to make us less than. You tried it before. You had willing workers, our own, that came up with this scheme. And all of a sudden, you have a people, millions of people that are sitting in places that they don't want to be, and they don't have any choice but to be there until things change. And so, that's a part of our history. We're going to continue this month talking about the history and where we've come from, where we are, where we're going. I hope you all are teaching, all you all that your ancestors have gone through this type of slavery and imprisonment and trade. Your ancestors have gone through. Make sure you embrace that history to teach others. And make sure you also teach your children about the things that are happening now, the prisons, which is another form of slavery, baby. And also about the trafficking. Here in Virginia, in Virginia Beach is one of the biggest trafficking uh, cults,
Yeah.
trafficking, enslavement in this country. It's really huge. But you've got to teach your children about it. You've got to teach the youth about it. You have to make sure they get information about what can happen to you. Now, Mr. E, the victims of the Epstein situation, they come out and they tell you of all the things that happened to them, how they were pulled in, how they were brainwashed, how they were abused, and how they didn't have any help. And they found themselves being passed around from here to there and used and abused. And some of them, one woman was saying how she was a broken spirit anyway. And so people prey on the weak. And that's what they go after. And so you have to teach your children. We got to teach our children and adults as well that that's what they're going to prey on. When you don't know who you are, when you are falling into the hands of the evil and the wicked one to do a number on you, they will use you and abuse you till they use you and destroy you. One of the ladies from the Epstein file, she committed suicide. It was too much. They said in her life, it alleged suicide. And so that's what it's meant to do, to kill, steal, and destroy your spirit by any means necessary. And that's why we have to teach.
Well, Ms. Hinton, it is a true statement because what gets us so much is I think that all schools, colleges should be teaching about African American history.
Yes.
I think that they should be teaching about trades. I think that they should be teaching and talking about the Epstein file. I think that they should learn all over the world that is from the lower part of life to the upper part, from the White House down to the cotton fields where all this stuff has taken place. I think that America should be aware of everything, not just having hidden agendas, private agendas, and now when somebody in court. I think that America should also take and punish those who have been and change some of the orders of what makes what qualifies a person to be a president. I think that we should go back to really looking at what's going on in life because we put all kinds of people in offices, in positions, and so you might as well let the jailhouse people out so they continue to vote and give them their rights back as soon as they serve the time. But we put all kinds of people. We don't have a high standard for nothing, because when you take somebody and put him in the White House that says what he said, that says those things, when you think that his past doesn't come to haunt him or to follow him, when you think that folks been holding back on things, when you think that folks that from enslaved, selling African Americans and bringing them over like they're cows and horses.
Africans, yeah.
When we look at life and see what life is dealing us, somewhere down the line we got to stop it and make a change. You know, we don't want to promote religion. We don't want to talk about the goodness of the Lord. We don't want to hear the merciful hands of God. All we look at as the wrong that happened in our culture in America. But no stopping the violence, no stopping slavery, no stopping trafficking. We don't have no stop. We don't have no into that. Put them all in containers that we see supposed to be carrying goods. Put them in containers and ship those ships and taking them all across the world. You know, somebody's son, somebody's daughter being put into a container with holes in it. You know, I think that down at these ports and wherever they may be shipped at, that they have to do a really good search on everything that's supposed to be in those containers. When I was with Mayflower Moving and Storage Company, I was picking up containers and dropping off containers. All you had to do was put a tag on it and say and have documentation, say that's what's in it, and guess what? You got away with it. But when them folks begin to bring African Americans from Africa, somebody should have sounded the alarm. Now,
What did you say? African American? What? I didn't hear that, Mr. You said
Africans from to Americans,
yes.
to America, that
Mm-hmm.
makes them, they transport them, that makes them African Americans, you know, that makes them, because they became Americans and they've been sold. You know, I mean, when they do stuff like that, we need to put the brakes on them. American need to stand for something, not just for the land of the free and the brave. America should take back what we have stood up for and start putting those people that are in high places.
Yeah, the thing about it is America
They're
started
wrongdoing.
America started off wrong, and it continued
It's
um,
wrong.
to do wrong. America has a lot to pay for. America brought slaves over here. The Indians were uh, taken from them. America started off wrong, and America has to sit back and look at its sins and get right, get and repent for all the things that it has done. It has done so much harm, and it's still continuing. It's continuing to do things. You got a group of people continuing to do things that's harming people, that's destroying people, that won't allow people to have their rights. Look at women that have to fight for their rights to even vote. Look at the African American where they had to they would allow the men eventually to vote, but then they would not allow women to vote. And so it is always a thing of abuse, always a trying to keep back folk, always a thing of making sure certain people don't get ahead. That's one of the worst things that I see, that wherein we cannot come together because so many folk want to keep other folks from getting ahead. And so we've got to continue to stand up. We got a lot of advocates. We have a lot of people that's standing up for the rights of people, for civil rights. And speaking of civil rights, we think about Martin Luther King fighting for the rights, along with others, for everybody's civil right. Now, this is the thing. If my civil rights is taken, they're coming for you next. Your civil rights is going to be taken, because guess what? They're going to find something about you that is not what they like. Okay, you may be a foreigner that's been here. You may be Black. You may be a woman. You may be somebody that is poor or something. People will find, I don't care what race you are, what color, what creed, what culture. If you're in a place where certain people want to get ahead, and they will keep you down in order to stay ahead. That's the name of the game. We will keep our foot on your neck to be the best. This is a sad situation. But the thing about it, this is supposed to be the land of the brave, the home of the free. Let it be that. Let it be that. That means those that are here, those that are born here, those that are legally here, have the right to a better life, to great living, to the American dream, or wherever you're from, to have that dream, to have the best of life. And so we continue to fight for it. Make sure you all go out there and vote. Make sure you get involved in your community. Make sure you take care of your family, keep them safe. Make sure you don't try to put your foot on somebody's neck to be the underdog because you want to be higher than somebody else. We're going to have to stop this stuff because we are definitely paying the price for the sins of America and what was done from the beginning. That's right. This is what we see. We see the fruit of what has been done from the beginning in this country. So we've got to get better, do better. Each individual has to look at themselves, examine yourself, and see where you fit in this picture. Do you fit on the ugly side, or are you doing your best to build up your community and your life, your world? Or you tearing it down, you're going to help tear it down. And so we're seeing it every day. But we've got to fight to keep our rights and our privilege. So anyway, listen, it's good to see you all. Thank you. I'm sure my friend Sheila Roberts is on Facebook. I can't see the feed. We have DIS Despy way up here on Instagram. We have PRIYANKANAYAK 6045 on Instagram. All you all that are on Facebook, thank you for joining us. LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, TikTok, thank you so much for joining us. We are so glad to be able to still come to you with our morning live show and our after dark show. Soon it's going to be a conversation with Yolanda, the lady. I want to just talk with you, talk about who you are, how you feel, what you're doing, and just learn more about one another. You know, we'll continue on TikTok. We're building that. We need subscribers, followers to actually be able to pull you all into us, to see you. So we need a few more. We need about 100 and something more followers. I wish you all would subscribe and follow the channel. Please help us so we can get to know each other a little bit more. Continue those that are on Facebook to tune in to us on 9:30, LinkedIn, Twitter, everybody that's up there, get involved. Tell people about the show and tell them that we are here to inspire and encourage and lift you up and motivate you, that you will have success in your life, which is meant to be. You're meant to have success in your life. Don't let nobody tell you here as somebody's slave and somebody's somebody with their foot on your neck, their foot on your neck to live underneath your privilege. So I got a long day, a lot of things to do. You all be blessed and have a wonderful, wonderful day. And make sure you are feeling good about who you are. So we'll see you on Fun Friday. Listen, we got the Love Doctor, Mr. Tony V. He's going to be with us. You all want to talk about relationships. We got Valentine's Day coming up. Please join us. Please join us on Friday at 9:30 a.m. And make sure you kind of talk to us. We're going to talk to you. If you have any questions for the Love Doctor, he's been on many, many times for years, actually. And we're going to talk with him about love and relationships. So we'll see you then. Have a blessed and beautiful, beautiful day. TikTok, we're going to see you, okay? All right. Take care. It's been a wonderful time with you. Save my